Hi everyone, it's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video. And since the Wheel of Time is now out in its entirety, we're going to walk through episode 7 and try to find all the Easter eggs we possibly can. So if you love the Wheel of Time as much as I do, or if you're just excited about the third season, or want to keep up on all of the news, and trust me folks, there's going to be a ton of Wheel of Time news in the coming weeks, consider making us your home for Wheel of Time news. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course folks, tell all your friends. Now, since we are walking through the 7th episode of the third season and trying to find Easter eggs, I do have to give a bit of a spoiler warning. So if you haven't read the first 5 books of the Wheel of Time series, that's the Eye of the World Through the Fires of Heaven, be forewarned, I'm going to ruin plot points and character arcs from at least that far in the series. And of course, we're going to ruin stuff from the show because we're talking Easter eggs. I think that goes without saying. So let's dive in here and see what we can find. Okay, folks, there's a ton of stuff to go through in this episode. And like I said earlier, if I happen to miss a couple of things, put them down below in the comment section, which Easter eggs that you folks found in this episode. Write Easter eggs in big capital letters in it so I can do a search later on and find them all. And I'll do a video on all the Easter eggs that I missed, of course, later on this month. So we're going to talk about this. This is going to be coupled with a shot much later on in the episode. But remember how this looks right now. We have the two rivers, or Ammon's Field specifically, in the middle there. We have a big wall behind them, a lot of impassable mountains and hills, a river on one side, and then we have that road kind of leading in. And the folks have been busy little beavers. They've made all kinds of little palisades. They've made all kinds of little stops for people coming down that road. That is the same road that the Trollocs take in later on in the episode, as well as what they took in the very first episode of the season, or season 1 rather. And we'll see that later on in the episode when we see that. But just remember how this looks for now. We get a shot of Perrin forging an axe. Now, in the book series, Perrin forged an axe under the tutelage of the blacksmith in Ammon's Field long before the beginning of the first book. So it happened off page, something we didn't see, but it was mentioned a couple of different times. And here he is back at that same forge, forging an axe in the third season, episode 7. So I think this is a little nod to the fact that he forged his own weapon in the book series. So he did forge it, and then he carried it throughout most of the book series after that. So here he is forging axes. And of course you see other smiths forging swords and checking them out and making weapons and spears. But Perrin himself, I don't think it's a mistake or an accident that they showed him forging the same half-moon axe that he carries later on in the episode, or the one that he carried in the book series. We get a shot here of Alanna with Mat's sisters. Now, Mat's sisters in the book series are incredibly powerful channelers. We don't get to see them do a whole lot of channeling. They're mentioned a couple of different times, but Alanna and Varin Sedai do go to the Two Rivers. They are there for the Battle of Two Rivers, and when the Battle of Two Rivers is done and Perrin and company leave, they gather up a bunch of young women from the township and take them to Camelin on the way to the White Tower. And that's where a few other things happen with Alanna, and we're going to do a whole video on that in another day, I would say. But it is an interesting plot line that we're probably going to see in season 4. But what I want to showcase here is she's teaching them how to embrace the source, because she's going to link with them later on in this episode. And all they really need to do, they don't need to be trained in any way, shape, or form. They just need to be able to pull the power into themselves to be able to link. Now, links in the show work a bit differently than links in the book series, and I've done videos on that before. But essentially, the fact is, as long as they can surrender to the source, pull it into themselves, and then surrender to the person who initiates the link, that's enough for the show. And then Alanna can use their power to fight the Trollocs. They don't have to do anything. They just have to be there and be a conduit for her. Another shot here, and there's a number of shots in this episode that are like this. You see Perrin, and you see an axe and a hammer behind him. This isn't the first time we see this in this episode. It's not the last time either. I just wanted to showcase one of them. There's a lot of different little nods to the fact that in the book series, Perrin has an internal struggle throughout much of the book series, and whether he's going to use the blacksmith's hammer and become a craftsman to create things, live a calm and peaceful life, or the axe, which is basically just an instrument of destruction. And he has a big struggle with choosing one or the other in the book series. Now, I won't spoil you how that ends, but it doesn't end in any way that you would think it does. And it's quite a satisfying payoff in the book series. And I really hope we get far enough in the show to actually see it on screen, because it's something that, it's another one of those scenes that I think is going to be a real emotional scene to view. Next, we got this. We have all the Tuathananen, or the Tinkers, coming into the Two Rivers. This happens in the book series as well. So they come in, but they come in also with a ton of other people from the surrounding Two Rivers into Emond's Field. We see that here. We see that a lot of them have arrows and whatnot into their wagons. And we do learn that Rayan, the seeker of this band, does die in this episode, which leads to a couple of things that are happening later on. We'll talk about them as we get to them. Shot here of Faile. As Faile's walking around, Bain and Chiad are her shadows. They are essentially with her all the time. They don't leave her side for much of the episode at all, unless they're with Loial, kind of repaying or meeting their toe to him. We'll talk about that in a bit later. But in the book series, Bain and Chiad were her shadows. They are the ones that followed Faile to the Two Rivers, and they stayed with her and stayed loyal to her the entire time, and they were not loyal to Perrin. A little bit different in the show, but this shot of them coming in with them walking half a step behind her, I think is a little bit of a nod to that. Then we got Aram. Aram here is a tinker in the show, and in the books, we see something happen a little bit differently here. Here he's angry. He's angry that that Rayan is dead. He's angry that the Trollocs attacked their wagons. He's angry that they couldn't fight back. He's angry about a bunch of different things. And he gets told, well, they bury their dead and they move on, which is something that we heard a lot in episode 4 when Rand walked back through his ancestors' lives. Something that is a core tenet of the Way of the Leaf, core tenet of the Aiel prior to them kind of breaking off and becoming a warrior society, and he's not having any of it. In the book series, he's the same way. At this point in the book series, he grabs a sword with a wolf head pommel, sort of as it was an accident, but it was very fitting because he stayed with Perrin. He stayed with Perrin and started to learn how to use the sword with Tam, Rand's father, and essentially became one of the best swordsmen in that far into the series. Like, he becomes a blade master essentially. We don't see that in this episode, but we do get to see him pick up a sword later on, and we'll talk a bit more about that then. But him being angry here is exactly how it was in the books. He was just angry about everything, except he picked a sword up immediately, and his family disowned him. We have Days Conger, the new wisdom. A lot of the wisdoms in Emond's Field have the ability to channel. A lot of the wisdoms in the Two Rivers and in this area of the world have the ability to channel. They don't know it, though. In the book series, they call it listening to the wind, and the best wisdoms can do that. The best healers can do that. Alanna saying, "You can see my weaves." Well, she knows that Days could probably see her weaves because Days is the new wisdom, and Days does have some skill in healing. And let's face it, the people in Emond's Field and the people in Two Rivers have very, very strong old blood in them, and the ability to channel is very strong in them. Something we haven't seen in the show that they do show in the books is that women can sense other women's ability to channel. So just by being near them, Alanna would be able to see that Days Conquer can channel and how strong she is. We don't see that in the show, and it's not something they've even talked about a little bit. So this could be a little bit of a nod to that, where Days is watching them off the side, and Alanna's like, "You can see my weaves." She asked it as sort of a question, but it's possible that they are starting to implement that part into the show, but they haven't really explained it yet. Wolfhead Banner. This is something that is unfurled during the Battle of the Two Rivers in the book series, and it follows Perrin for a long time, and Perrin hates it. Now, one of the things that we saw with this banner is Faile saying that she told the folks of the Two Rivers that Trollocs hate wolves, and they made this banner. Totally fair. That is almost the exact same line that came from the book series, and the same reason why the banner got put up. They associated it with Perrin, and they gave it Goldeneyes here, but that's not really super well explained in the show. We know Perrin is a wolf brother. We know Perrin can speak to the wolves, and the wolves are a big part of the Battle of the Two Rivers, the tertiary Battle of the Two Rivers, I should say, in the book series. They don't take part in the battle, they don't come in, and they don't save the day or anything like that, but a lot of the wolves have been killed by Slayer. The Slayer is Lord Luke in the book series. He's an amalgam of a couple of different people kind of crammed together, and he is hunting and killing all the wolves in the Two Rivers. Likely, one, because he likes it and he enjoys it. Two, he's cutting Perrin out at the knees. One of Perrin's greatest strengths is using the wolves and talking to the wolves for a bunch of different reasons. Couple that with the fact that we haven't really seen Perrin in the wolf dream very much yet. We've seen a couple of brief shots of him here and there, kind of playing around with Hopper. I thought it was smart of them not to include this in the show for the Battle of the Two Rivers, because it would just be too much explanation, too much it would become awkward because they haven't really dove into that yet. But this banner will become Perrin's banner, and we'll follow him around for quite some time in the show if it's even a little bit like the book series. Now we have here Maksim is wiping off the morning paint on Alanna's face. It's very blink if you miss it moment. But one of the things that Alanna did mention to Perrin back when Perrin was at his where his family, some of his family were buried in the book series, and where some people were buried in the show, those apple trees, that they mix the ashes of their fallen or their loved ones with paint and wear it as a sign of their mourning. Maksim and Alanna here are, well, for lack of a better term, they're making something brand new, and I think he says it specifically that way in the show. And to do so, they kind of have to let go of the past. So he's finally wiping off the last of that mourning paint, and they're coming into their own as a couple rather than a throuple, as they were earlier on in the series. Kind of a little bit of setup, I guess, for how their relationship is going forward. And it's going to be that much harder when Alanna does a certain thing, I think, next season. All right, so Faile walks up on Perrin, and Perrin hears her. So this is something that is not incredibly well explained in the show, but book readers pick up on it pretty well. Perrin has very, very heightened senses. He can hear things that others cannot. He can smell emotions. He can smell people from far away, and his eyesight is incredibly keen. Think of like a wolf, but times 10. And that's part of what he gets as a benefit of being a wolf brother. Now, one of those things where, yes, they didn't explain it really well in the series, and it's something they hammer home a whole lot, so people who are just show watchers may miss it. But they do it enough that book readers understand that she's walking up behind him, and he mentions her knives. He can hear her knives. 100% he can. He probably smelled her long before she ever came up as well, because she has a herbal soap scent in the books that he associates with just being her and happy. So, his senses come into play later on as well. I had a few people who watched the show that didn't read the books ask me a few questions about this. They couldn't understand why he believed Fain at the end. We'll talk about that when we get to it, but it has to do with the senses. Now we have this. We have Faile and Perrin fighting. And they get into it here. She mentions his dead wife. He gets upset. They start kind of like, it's not a knockdown, drag out fight. They're not throwing things. They're not screaming at the top of their lungs. But this is a common occurrence in the book series. They are both young. They are both hot-headed. They are both a little bit immature. Perrin does everything he can to be calm and docile. He's scared that his height, his build, and the way he moves is going to hurt people. And being gentle is a big part of his character. A Saldean like Faile, they take pride in the fact that people think they are strong. When you fight with them, they believe that's a sign of respect and a sign of attention and love. So seeing this fight here and seeing Perrin uncomfortable with it is a big nod to the relationship of the book series. Well, do I think we're going to get that same relationship on screen 100%? No, I don't think we will. But seeing something like this made me smile because I love the relationship in the books. It's a very real, very raw, emotional relationship, and it's written really well. And seeing at least a little bit of it emulated on screen made me pretty happy. Now we get this. So remember when I started the video and I said, remember this picture of the Palisades and things? This is just a different shot of that. You see Emond's Field itself in the back. You can see that kind of road leading out where they put all those stakes and the Palisades coming down from the mountain pass. You can see the mountain pass, all the Trollocs carrying torches. That is almost a direct shot, again, from Season 1, Episode 1, where the Trollocs and stuff came from and the Fade came from. This time, though, there's no Fades. There is Dark Friends, Fain, and a bunch of Trollocs. And they're all coming the same way. So they're coming from the Waygate. They're coming down that mountain pass. So this is just kind of bookending the two rivers from Season 1, Episode 1 to Season 3, Episode 7. The Two Rivers story is, for all intents and purposes, going to be done pretty much after this episode. There will be a few more things, but in the book series, it's the same thing. We don't really go back there a whole lot after this. A few times, but not many. So this is a great shot showcasing pretty much the same thing we saw in the first episode, bookending that storyline. I don't think we're going to come back here again in the show at all. Sing for Manethren. Again, this is another great bookend. We had them singing this same song in the first season as they were traveling. Much younger, much happier, much less world-weary and haggard. But it is a song that is well known in the Two Rivers and in Emond's Field. And having them sing it like this, again, another great bookend between Season 1 and Season 3. I really liked seeing this. All right, we're going to talk a bit about Loial now. Loial, if you missed this, he has the trefoil leaves, Avendesora leaves on the big hammer that he has. And the hammer itself, the half of the hammer looks, well, it looks pretty natural. It doesn't look like it was crafted, sanded down. I would say that perhaps this is sung wood. Now, it's something that we haven't really seen in the series, in the show at all, but in the book series, some Ogier have the ability to sing to the trees and have them create things out of themselves. Loial does a couple of different times within the book series create weapons out of singing to the trees. We can't say for sure. Maybe it's a deleted scene, maybe it's a blink if you miss a moment, maybe it's something, but I think this is just a little nod to the fact that he is a tree singer, that he can do this, and that the haft is supposed to look natural like that. And the trefoil leaf, the Avendesora on it, is a very big piece of foreshadowing considering what happens next with Loial. Maksim doubles over here when Alanna gets hit with an arrow. It's one of those things that warders can feel the same pain and hurt that their Aes Sedai feel. They don't feel it to this degree, I don't believe, in the book series, not to the part where it incapacitates them, but overplaying it for the show 100% is good cinema, good TV, so that's why they're doing this. But yeah, this is because of the bond. The bond is turned back on. One of the things that Maksim and Alanna have struggled with in the show is that she continuously turns the bond off at his request because he chafed under it. He has it on here, and he is not regretting it being on even though she is injured. He does his best to carry on the fight afterwards. All right, so when Loial enters the Waygate here, we see these vines, leaves, and branches, sort of like the trefoil leaves and Avendesora leaf that you see on his hammer, and he used a leaf to do it, so he put a leaf on there to open up the Waygate. In the book series, that's the only way the ways operate. In the show, we've seen people channeled open the ways, and it does not look like this. It looks very, very different. That's because they're trying to differentiate between the channeling and the leaves. I think that in the first season when they did that, there were scenes that were shot of Fain entering and leaving the Waygate using a trefoil leaf. It didn't have this sort of CG behind it because we didn't see him coming out. I assume it does. I assume the Waygates in the show showcase different visuals depending on how you open them up. Again, in the book series, the leaves are the only way to open the Waygates. The one power doesn't work. In the show, they changed it so it's one power or leaves, one or the other. And we get this. This is Lord Luke. In the book series, he is Slayer. I've done a video or two on him so far. Essentially, he's an amalgam of a couple of different people crammed together, and he is those one-shot shadow spawn that isn't really shadow spawn, if that makes any sense. He has all kinds of special abilities and powers. He can enter and leave the Wolf Dream at will, or Teleran Riyadh. There's a bunch of different stuff about him. They haven't explained any of that in the show, which I think is probably fairly smart, because it's one of those things that this would take an entire episode to showcase his backstory, who he is, how he came to be, and what goes on. But I think we may get it later on. He is coming in with the White Cloaks here, and we haven't seen him for most of the episode. He wasn't there to prepare the defenses. He wasn't there to help people out. He was just hanging out with the White Cloaks, we assume, off-page, off-screen. But we don't know for sure. But when he comes in, he's staring hate at Perrin. He is 100% going to be Slayer, considering the way he looks at Perrin as he comes in. He does not like him at all. He's got to be Slayer. I think we'll see more of him maybe in Season 4 or seasons beyond that. Fain. Fain comes in here, and there's a couple of different times when Fain is yelling, and he's saying guttural language that we don't know what it is. We're not 100% sure. I think this is a call out to the fact that Trollocs do have a language of their own, and they 100% do. There's only one Trolloc in the entire series, in the book series, that speaks English, and that's Nark. During the Battle of the Two Rivers in the book series, the Trollocs all yell Isham. Isham is, well, for lack of a better term, one of the two people that eventually becomes Slayer or Lord Luke. And that's the only other time Trollocs really speak English in the book series. But they do have their own language. They can talk back and forth. They can communicate with one another. It's just something we don't see very often. Having Fain control them here and having him talk to them in their own language is, I think, sort of a nod to the fact that Trollocs do have a language and can speak. Now, again, here's the other thing. Trollocs and Fades generally are always under the control of a Forsaken in some way, shape, or form. Fain is a Dark Friend. Fain is a very high-up Dark Friend with a bunch of special powers in the book series. We're not sure if he has those powers in the show because we haven't really seen them or talked about them just yet. And Fain has been working for Shamael throughout the entire series so far. For the show, we've seen him only answering to a Shamael, only talking to a Shamael. Shamael's dead now. Who's Fain answering to? Who's he talking to? I'm thinking Ashamael is already back at this point as Moradin, which is a reincarnation or a rebirth of Ashamael, but we haven't seen him on page yet. We haven't seen him on screen. So I'm thinking that maybe next season he will come back as that, and we will see him probably still as Ferris. I'm not going to guess they're going to get someone else to play the role, but I think he will come back and change his name. Here is the Aram storyline where he picks up the sword. So he is doing this to save a child. He's doing this to ensure that his people get to safety. He's doing it for what should be all the right reasons. Whereas in the book series, he did it completely out of anger. I think this is going to make his fall from grace, the fact that Tinkers don't want to see him, have called him one of the lost and have kicked him out, even more hurtful in the show. Yes, in the book series, it makes total sense. He's angry, he picks up the sword, and his people disown him. In the show, this makes it that much more emotionally impactful, that he's doing it for all the right reasons, and yet he's still disowned, just like Rand's ancestors were that we saw in episode 4. I think it was a really great callback to that particular sequence. Now, it isn't a spear, it is a sword, which is even worse. But I think in season 4 and beyond, we are going to see him as part of the efforts to rescue Perrin and become more of a part of the story, which I'm very happy about. In Faile, I had to give the shot of Faile. So remember when I said Saldeans value strength and they like people fighting with them? Perrin is gruff with her here. He's firm. He's like, you kill the ones I miss. Like, get back there, kill the ones I miss. He tells her what to do. And this is a look in her face. She's super pumped about that. That is part of their culture. They enjoy it. Women do it to men do it to women. It's just a part of their culture. Like, they value strength, and they think that if you don't fight with them, they feel like you don't feel that they're strong. So seeing this, they are definitely incorporating those parts of Saldean culture into the show, and I love seeing it. All right, this is something I had to talk about and discuss, and it's something I don't know if it's an Easter egg. I don't know if it was just the way they wrote the episode. If it's, I don't know. Essentially, there's been a lot of talk the entire series about how Valda knows people are channeling, because at this point in the series, it's been established that men channeling and women channeling are different. They can't see the weaves. They can't see each other channel. It is exactly as it is in the show, or as it is in the books, so to speak. And the people that can't channel don't see these weaves. And there's been a lot of thought, well, maybe they can because Valda can see weaves. They think he can see weaves. Thinks he knows people who can channel, who are channeling around him. He always seems to know that there's channeling happening, even if there's no outward sign of it. Now, Matt Cawthon in the book series has a foxhead medallion. This foxhead medallion, it goes cold whenever you have channeling around it. And it is a unique thing, but it is a Terran Grail, and Elaine wants to study it because she wants to be able to duplicate it. She just wants to know things about it. Now, we've seen Matt in all the promotional material with the foxhead medallion, and I won't get into spoilers for episode 8 because, yes, it is out, but this isn't a video about that, but we know that Matt's foxhead medallion is in the show. However, what we don't know is perhaps Valda has something similar. Maybe he has something that has let him survive killing Aes Sedai for all these years. That's how he's gained this kind of status as a butcher of Aes Sedai. And he has all those rings that we've seen in the first season. Maybe he has something similar that defeats channeling and goes cold when people channel around him so we can see it. And this, I think, is a very good indication of that. I don't know for sure. It has never been really explained, but it's my best guess anyway. Now this, Perrin and Fain. And Fain and Perrin sort of make this deal. Perrin's threatening to kill him and saying, if I don't kill you, take your people and go. And people who haven't read the books at this point, I've had a few people go, well, it makes no sense. Why does he trust him? He's a dark friend. He's done all these terrible things. Why trust him? He trusts him because Perrin can smell emotions. Perrin can hear heartbeats. He knows if people are lying. He's like Daredevil in that aspect. He can smell how people are thinking and feeling pretty much. So if Fain is worried or intends on lying or is going to betray Perrin would know. So Perrin knows that he's going to do these things. And he has the upper hand because if Fain changes his mind at any point, Perrin's basically going to smell the shift in his emotions. So that's why Perrin trusts him here. And we're talking about Loial. Remember I said about that haft of the hammer he has? Looks very natural. Looks natural there to me too. I would say it could be kind of a call out to Sungwood. But when Loial smashes the walkway to the Waygate and falls, the big Easter egg here is the fact that you hear the hunters, or the heroes of the Horn, theme song playing as he falls. I'm not saying that he is going to become a hero of the Horn, because we don't know for sure. I am saying that it's an awful coincidence they chose that music as he fell. So much like Uno, when Uno died in the second season, and we saw him at the end of the second season as a hero for the Horn, I think this gives them an option or an out to bring Loial back later on in the series, if they so choose, and Hamad Animashan, the actor, so chooses to do so. I will say there are reasons they did cut Loial out at this early time, and the easiest way to explain it is you have to prune some of these major characters that are part of the book series that really don't impact the story in any major way. It's going to happen. The bloat becomes real as you get further in the story with characters, and the show can't have that. They had to start pruning them. Part of the reason we lost so many characters that we know make it at least to the last battle and beyond in the book series, like Loial. But there are other reasons behind the scenes as well, which I will talk about at some point or another, I'm sure. But for now, it's enough to know that Loial is actually dead here. It's not a fake out death, like we saw in season 1. He is for all intents and purposes gone. And then finally, this last shot of Perrin and Fain yelling at the Trollocs again. Guttural Trolloc language, telling them what to do, and they listen to him. So who is he under the control of? Who is he taking orders from? Why are they so scared of him? Could be because he's so super powerful and OP like he is in the books, and he can kill Fades and all kinds of other crazy stuff that he does. We haven't seen a lot of that in the show yet. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's to who he answers to. And Perrin behind him just... Perrin knows... Perrin's not even has his guard up. Doesn't even have his guard up. He knows. He knows what Fain's going to do. He can smell his emotions. He knows that he's telling the truth here, and that he's more worried about saving his own skin than anything else. So that's why this is. That's why that happened. All right, so like I said, another big hit. Every single episode this season, in my opinion, has been just fantastic. It has been, it's exceeded my expectations as both a show watcher and a book reader. I'm very, very happy with it. And there's a ton of things here. A lot of little nods to book fans, a lot of little nods to people who watch the show. It's foreshadowing. They're doing really well with all of that stuff, and I really enjoy seeing it. So again, if you folks happen to see things I missed, put them down below in the comments. Leave the tag Easter eggs. And I want to reiterate one other thing, folks, just before I go here. Just remember, keep your comments civil. Keep discourse and the discussions in the comments section civil. If any hate speech or bigotry or any of the other stuff happens to be down there, or personal attacks on people, I'll just delete the comments and ban you from the channel. It's just that easy. This is supposed to be a place for everyone to be able to discuss and talk about the Wheel of Time. Whether you like the show or not, it's irrelevant. Everyone can be civil to one another when you're discussing it. So that's all I ask. Thank you so much for sticking with us here to the very end, folks. Here's to many more.